So, in the last episode, we proved that it was physically impossible for Lizzie Borden to have committed those murders. The timeline, the clothing, the human body itself all screamed her innocence. So, if not Lizzie, then who? And why did the police, with all their resources, never truly look elsewhere? Well, hello, my silky friends. If you are new to this channel, I'm Silky. This is Silky Southern Tea, and we talk about all kind of things, but primarily crimes. And if you're watching this series, then it must be because you are fascinated with the Lizzie Borden case, as I am. And today we're going to be pulling back the curtain on one of the most frustrating parts of this case, and that is the investigation itself. Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, gave her father 41. Now we're going to talk about a mysterious visitor to the Borden household at 9 a.m. on August 4th, 1892. What? I never heard that. Yeah, neither did I. But guess what? A witness, a very viable witness, gave this testimony. Let's back up. In case you missed it, we dismantled a lot of myths in the first episode. In the second episode, we talked about the impossible timeline with Lizzie's Victorian clothing, and a thing called adrenaline response, which, although they may not have been that familiar with it in 1892, they certainly would have been since. But all of these things made her guilt physically impossible. So, if Lizzie was innocent, who is the real killer here? And the question is, why wasn't that person caught? Was it just incompetence, or was it something more sinister, like a cover up? Now, we are going to look into how the police investigation was flawed from day one. I mean, day one. And how their tunnel vision against Lizzie allowed crucial evidence to just slip through their fingers. Again, we're talking about a mysterious figure who was at the Borden house at 9 a.m. and whose presence could have changed everything. I'm going to show you the actual police notes, their own words, that revealed a shocking bias against Lizzie from the very beginning. So, this isn't just about a missed lead, it is a fundamental failure of justice. So, grab your sweet tea because we are going to continue our investigation in the Lizzie Borden case, and I'm going to prove to you that she is innocent. Okay, so let's set the scene. 9 a.m., August 4th, 1892. Now, we know that John Morse had just left. Andrew Borden had probably left or was just leaving. Bridget was going to be washing the windows. She was in and out of the house. Lizzie had just got up and come downstairs a few minutes before 9. She wasn't feeling well, and she said maybe she had like a little coffee. She really didn't think she ate. And Abby Borden was changing the sheets and everything on the bed where Mr. Morse had slept the night before. Now she comes down around a little after 9, 9:15-ish, and she says she's done except she has to put on the pillow shams. So somewhere between 9:15 and 9:30, Mrs. Borden is bludgeoned and passes away. Now, as far as we've ever been told, Lizzie and Bridget and Abby were the only people in the house. Andrew was gone. Nobody was there, right? But let's look at some testimony, and this was written by John Fleet. All right, I'm going to have to put my glasses on for a second. Now, this is from the direct police notes, okay? And you can find this, by the way, if you are wanting to look at some fascinating evidence and eyewitness testimonies, also all the police notes, go to lizzieandrewborden.com. It is a website, and you will see they have a plethora of stuff. But this is where I got this direct quotes, and these are the typed out police notes. Now, John Fleet was part of that early investigation, and this is what he says. According to Lizzie, and he's writing her notes of what she said, if you will look down into the third paragraph, case she mentions this several times how a man came several weeks before, got into an argument with Andrew, and went away angry. Okay. It didn't sound good. Now, there are some stories that say that this man wanted to open a shop that sold alcohol. We absolutely know that Andrew was not in favor of that. And actually, Lizzie was, part of the temperance union. If you don't know what that means, they're against alcohol. Okay. So this was something that her family did not approve of. And this guy wanted to open a business to sell that. And according to witnesses, this guy kind of felt like Andrew was such a skinflint and he was out to make a dime any way he could, that surely he wouldn't care what he rented a building for. But Andrew did care. Now, so Lizzie goes back and she's talking to Mr. Fleet about that when he's asking her, really, what kind of motive? Who would come in and do this and kill your father? Well, she says, the only thing I know is this particular guy. So as you see, she's talking about this. Now go down to the bottom and look at the last two lines. A man came here this morning about 9 o'clock. I think he wanted to hire a store. Talked English. I did not see him. Heard father shut the door and think the man went away. Okay, now she's not talking about the man from 2 weeks ago, although it was very likely the same man. But she didn't say that. She talked about the 2 weeks prior, and then she said, a man came here this morning. So that had to be around 9 a.m. It had to be before Andrew left. Oh, wow. So Lizzie said there was somebody else at the house. It wasn't just them. This man came, he talked to Andrew, he seemed a little bit angry. She thought he went away. But what if he didn't go away? Or what if he just went outside, went around the house, went around the block? What if he came back? Or maybe he never left. The thing is, this whole angle was never really investigated, okay? Nobody seemed to be asking any questions. This was a crucial witness there just literally minutes before Abby was bludgeoned to death. So why weren't they hot on the trail trying to figure out who this guy was? Because even if he wasn't the perpetrator, perhaps he saw something, heard something. We are still within a 15-minute time period of when this likely happened. So let's go further, and I'm going to show you the notes from two other officers. And now, in some parts of these notes, it just says Doherty, and some say Harrington. Now, this particular one was Harrington and Doherty's notes combined. Okay, and I'm not really sure which one said which, but this their investigation of the first day. This is crazy, y'all. So at this point, they're looking through the barn, right? Because Lizzie said she was in the barn. So they're investigating that first day. And one of them says, I went to the Borden barn where the marshal gave orders to several officers to search the barn thoroughly and took part in the work downstairs. Okay. Now listen to this next part. It was at this time I made known my suspicions of Miss Lizzie to the marshal. I said, I don't like that girl. He said, what is that? I repeated and further said, under the circumstances, she does not act in a manner that suits me. It is strange, to say the least. What? Do I smell a little police bias here? You mean to tell me you felt strongly enough that you, quote, did not like this girl from the very first day because of her reaction? You thought she was strange. I want to tell you something. Y'all know in even modern police cases, think of O.J. Simpson about, the police involvement. Think Mark Furman and his attitude, how that shaped that case. And just recently in the Karen Reed case, how you have the police, against Karen Reed, and you see how everything shaped that. Police attitude has a lot to do with investigation because remember, it is the police that give the information to the district attorney, right? They do the investigating. They turn over the evidence to the DA who decides, whether they're going to prosecute. Is this enough evidence? And the judge has to sign off on it, right? So basically, what the police say is what the DA takes as golden, right? This is absolutely the truth because this is the result of the police investigation. It should be an unbiased investigation. But in Lizzie's case, it was very, very biased from day one, where these officers decided, you know what? There's just something about her. I don't like her. I don't think she's right. I didn't like that attitude. I didn't like the way she responded. She's guilty. She must have done it. Now, that wouldn't fly today, at least not out in the open. But this is what we're dealing with. Okay, but now we're not just talking about a regular person talking, making things up. We're talking about a credible witness, which is Lizzie, because she was there, saying that there was someone at the house. Well, now the police don't even look at that. John Fleet writes it in his report that she said someone showed up that day, this morning. Somebody came to the house, don't know who it was, talked to Andrew, left, kind of thought they were angry. That is a huge, massive red, beacon in any competent investigation. Would be a lead you would drop everything for, right? Go pursue it. You identify the person, you question them, you establish their alibi, and you want to find out why they were there. This isn't rocket science. It's basic detective 101. But what actually happened is the police barely investigated this lead. I would hazard to say, really not at all. They took the witness statement of Lizzie, they filed it, and continued looking exclusively at her. Never seriously tried to identify the visitor because in their heads, they didn't like her already, and she was guilty. It was just something this woman was making up, not that it could have been true. They never followed up. They never treated it like a smoking gun, and you'll see a lot of smoking guns in this case. We're just getting started. And we've talked about this before. As for Lizzie's reaction, she was in shock, grief, the whole 9 yards, and she was being medicated from the very first day. Now, as a nurse, I can tell you, people grieve in different ways. Some people are very hysterical. Some people are very quiet. Some people, you can't tell if they're grieving at all. It doesn't matter. There's not a right or wrong way to grieve or be in this shocked condition after you have witnessed such a brutal crime in your own house. But no matter how you act, I can tell you one thing, not one of those potential responses indicate guilt. But in 1892, the police, they had a very specific idea of how a lady should behave. And when Lizzie didn't fit into their little box, well, they decided she might be guilty. As a matter of fact, when multiple pieces of evidence came up that would point away from Lizzie, the police, they systematically dismantled them and ignored. From their perspective, from day one, there was one perpetrator, only one guilty person in that household, and that was Lizzie Borden. And so that has continued for over 130 years. Now, I think it's high time we decided to really look at the facts and how things were in 1892 and all of the different things that are right under your nose. They're in the notes, they're in the things I've studied. Shocking statements that nobody followed up on that would all point to somebody else. Yeah, somebody who was in that house, somebody who did have a motive and certainly had opportunity, because where they said they were and what they said they were doing was a fake alibi, and it would have easily crumbled had the police just hammered a little bit on it and read the police notes. Read your own stuff, and you're going to find the lies right under your nose, hidden in plain sight. But because they decided Lizzie was guilty from day one, they never asked any questions. They never pursued those leads, and they never followed the evidence to where it actually led. And that is how the real killer got away with murder. So I want you to tell me what you think in the comments below. Have you ever heard of these two things? One, that there was a 9 a.m. visitor that morning, not the one that she was talking about 2 weeks prior. And did you know that the police had such a bias in their own notes? They couldn't stand her from day one. Did you know that? Because police bias, like I said, it is huge in a case of whether it goes to trial and what the evidence actually says. Because the prosecutor, let's just assume that an attorney, and I'm sorry to y'all attorneys out there, but it's hard to find an honest one. I mean, come on, let's be real. But if you are an honest attorney and you are just taking this information from the police investigation, they're telling you that Lizzie Borden is guilty, that she is the only possible person who could have committed this crime while they are hiding from you all the other evidence. So this was a travesty from the very, very beginning. And like I said, in spite of everything we've already talked about, this is just the beginning because I have boom after boom when it comes to one person that we will talk about next time and all of his lies and fake alibis. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Uncle John Morse. So I hope that you are ready for the next episode. Now, I need you to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see this series. In the meantime, I go into depth with a lot of evidence and I will tell you exactly where to find it. You can go look at this yourself. You can solve this case just like I did, looking at the evidence that has been in plain sight for 130 years. I did write a book. It is called Lizzie Borden, The Lies Behind the Legend. And that is where I document everything. You can get it on Kindle or you can get it on paperback. And I am still going through all the evidence here on this channel. So, like I said, next time we're going to go into depth on Dirty John Morse. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week. Stay safe out there. But whatever you do, stay silky. And, oh, hey, let's get justice for Lizzie Borden. How about that? Bye.